In a factory where I used to work, manufacturing analog CRT televisions, we came back after summer shutdown to discover over the 2 weeks a whole wall had been removed that used to separate the solder bath lines from final assembly. The directors announced that this would help speed up the manufacturing and make the operation more efficient. Another 2 weeks pass and the factory has its annual fire inspection by a senior member of the local fire brigade. This was in the days before companies took over this role and fire marshals came into being. The fire inspector asks, "Didn't there used to be a wall there?" Directors reply, "Yes, we spent £50K knocking it down to improve the factory layout." Fire inspector replies, "Well, you're going to have to build it back up again because that wall was a fire break." All the staff within earshot burst out laughing. A very smart graduate who demanded time for an afternoon nap for her mental health. Apparently, being told that she could use her lunch break for a nap was discrimination, as she needed an hour for lunch to eat and decompress so she could then take a nap. Thankfully, her replacement was brilliant. When I used to work in one big company, the CEO sent a shitty email one Friday morning telling everyone to cool it with the reply calls and all staff emails, because it was spamming everyone's inbox. Someone replied, "Thanks, noted, will do." They all replied, "Verbal warning." Received an email from someone who clearly doesn't use technology much. It was one message over 2 separate emails. The first one ended in, "Sorry, I'm running out of space to type, I'll continue in another email." Because I am old, I worked in an office job when email was still seen as newfangled by some people. I did a sales job at the time and had an increasing number of clients who wanted to do business by email rather than over the phone. They used to email me for bookings, etc. My team leader once told me off for spending too much time emailing and not enough on the phone, and told me she would be angry if she saw me emailing again. No amount of explanation that I was emailing about work would persuade her. I used to get data from a supplier in a Word document that had obviously been copy and pasted from an Excel sheet. I asked the supplier if they could just send me the Excel file because I was wasting time copying from the Word document to Excel. The next week, I was sent a screenshot of the Excel sheet. On a lighter note, the guy who organized the chicken wings challenge. We had a Weatherspoons in our building, and back then it was 3 starters, so 30 hot wings for £10. So we went in at lunch and ordered 20 plus plates of wings, then more wings, then more. By the afternoon, the guy who organized it has the world's most fiery diarrhea. Lance worked as a receptionist at a recruitment agency. There was a lot of crazy behavior in a workaholic environment with a lot of big personalities. 2 dumb things happened there. One having to do first aid on someone who somehow fucked up how to use a drip coffee machine. They could have just asked and I would have either shown them or done it for them. 2, one of the guys got naked, except for a tie, and took a photo of himself lounging on the boss's desk whilst they were out and then emailed it to the entire company. They did not get in trouble. Everyone thought it was hilarious. The worst thing I've seen in an office is a HR rep and management telling a guy he couldn't eat lunch at his desk because this is not our type of culture, and he must spend lunch hours socializing. The HR rep also told the guy to socialize more during work hours. The guy had brain cancer and was just recovering from quite long back-to-back team meetings, but HR said he was ruining the mood. A colleague also complained about the guy making her feel lonely by not going to lunch with her or talking about their personal life enough. HR and management tell him constantly, and then he resigned. Had a genius operating a bench grinder, Linisher. That was portable, it was just mounted on wood. So he decided to move workstations and just went to pick it up to move mid-operation. Ripped the end of his finger off, claimed. He worked there for 2 weeks and made as much money as I did that year, so who's dumb? I've worked at an engineering place and we've had bin bags of some stuff that was to be disposed of. My team leader gave my coworker a roll of tape and told him to seal the bags and take them out. The guy proceeds to unroll a meter of the tape, twists it in a cord, and starts tying the sacks with the cord tape to close them. I've never understood the train of thought behind it. Someone I used to work for would reply with, "Fine." What they meant from that, and which I absolutely understood, there was fine. Okay, go ahead. Absolutely. All gravy. No problem, etc. It used to make me laugh every time because I imagined someone else reading it like a petulant child had responded. I've been doing office-type work since I was 22, 27 now, and in a work setting, a thumbs up is always fine for me. I use it regularly and don't ever see it as an issue, although in a personal setting, I would take it as a passive-aggressive LOL. One of the dumbest things for me was when I was doing a countryside ranger job, the organization decided to do a restructure so that we had separate teams for access, education, and conservation. That is, everything a ranger does, in a bit to make things more efficient. They spent an insane amount of time doing it, and a lot of people were made redundant as a result. Because all of those aspects of the job are linked, it meant that everyone in each team ended up doing a bit of everything anyway. So the restructure achieved next to nothing other than new job titles and a much smaller team. Some other colleagues. No, Mexico's primary language is not Latin because it is in Latin America. No, your tan is not from the small fan heater under your desk that is on all day, so just say that you felt like wearing some fake tan, because no one cares, and you were only asked out of some form of politeness. No, you can't ignore the fire drill because you are on a group call with offices in other countries and because they don't have a fire drill at the same time. Worked at a recruitment company where 90% of work involved being on the phone. Had a new guy join who was the most obese person I've ever seen in person. He broke his desk chair on the first day sitting on it. Recently, I work in a supermarket, and you know those plant trolleys with bedding plants on them you see at the door in summer? Well, obviously at night we bring them inside, and one night I condensed 2 into 1 and left an empty one, trusting someone would send it back on the lorry the following morning, but instead they put it back outside. I also had to tell someone not to put chicken back on sale that had been left at a till for hours, and also had to tell someone that if a customer's shopping comes to £9 and you accidentally enter the amount tendered into the till as £100 rather than £10, you should still only give them £1. Change, not £91.